and then afterwards we will have a brief Q&A. So, welcome.
Hello everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you for being here so much. I'm super excited because I want to share my sincere gratitude as this conference is giving me the opportunity to present on a topic that I am very passionate about. And I'm excited to present in a conference that's dedicated to critical discourse and transformation for revolutionary change. Presenting here holds a very big significance for me because this institution played a pivotal role in shaping my academic trajectory. While I did not graduate from New Mexico State, I actually started my academic career at what once was the Doña Ana Branch Community College, right on O'Hara Road. And I discovered there my deep passion for knowledge and critical inquiry. And that spark of intellectual curiosity guided me onto UTEP. Sorry, go Miners. And it also inspired me to continue on reflecting and researching the intersections of social justice, equity, and revolutionary thought in my academic and professional pursuits. I continued my education at the University of Colorado, Denver, and I earned a master's degree in humanities and social justice with a particular focus in digital cultural studies. This definitely helped me examine the impact of social media on society and how digital platforms shape the ways we communicate, engage, and construct meaning. My master's research ultimately discovered and explored digital counterpublics, and in this study, I was able to see how marginalized groups create and circulate counter-discourses to challenge dominant ideologies and express their own identities and interests. This again highlighted my work in uplifting these marginalized voices, and I'm excited to share today my counterpublic research, which reflects this commitment to advancing digital studies. Please keep in mind that this is a work in progress, and the information presented today lays the groundwork for a bigger picture. I'm going to eventually apply for a PhD program, so thank you once again for welcoming me into this space, and now let's have a little laugh and go down through memory lane. All right, so we have some early memes here. Don't want to date myself, but I am a millennial. And I started off with these early 2000s memes, but they are part of the 2000s early starter pack, I guess, in memes. But as you can see, there are intersections both between cultural items such as movies and music. We have Drake's Hotline Bling. We have No One Enters Mordor, just simply enters Mordor. We have Lord of the Rings. And these memes show humor, right? But the evolvement, because we kind of started off over here with troll face and the why you know face. And just a reminder, that's what memes looked like 10 years ago. And these memes do look fun to look at, right? And sometimes some memes can even be scary. Why should we study them? My academic work for this project uncovers and anatomizes the internet's obsession with memes in a cultural context. My research expands further on how the memefication of cultural phenomena is a form of resistance and building of socio-political awareness regarding larger issues. Today we're going to critically examine the widespread viral fascination of the internet's so-called Babygirl, Luigi Mangione. And Luigi, the 26-year-old man accused of the fatal shooting of the United Healthcare CEO, has become a phenomenon where everyone loves Luigi, more than Mario actually. And this phenomenon, which I have termed to be Luigimania, raises questions about the digital's public obsession with individuals implicated in extreme acts of violence. This analysis will explore the underlying social-cultural dynamics that contribute to this intense online engagement. Why do such violent acts garner such widespread attention, and why is it sensationalized? But please take note, the presentation will show memes of crude humor that depict violence. This presentation serves as a critique and a showcase of why we use these kinds of memes, these grotesque memes and humor. This presentation does not condone physical acts of violence or murder, and fervently calls for the socio-political awareness and revolutionary thought to help us survive through community action and education. So let's get started. Why do we study memes? Or why are memes are as old as time. Some linguists argue that memes were used to communicate way centuries back, and we track this theory to ancient memes and to various petroglyphs and artwork found in culturally relevant sites. In this brief history of memes, we can go ahead and see in this depiction on the top right, a partial picture of a mosaic that was found in an ancient city in Antioch, Greece. The origins date back to 3 BC, and these memes tell a story in 3 frames. The first frame, the servant prepares a bath. In the second frame, a young man is seen running away from taking the bath, pursued by the servant that's not swift enough to catch him. And in the third and last scene, pictured here, a happy skeleton of a young man sits casually with a jug of wine. The inscription in Greek reads, "Be cheerful, live your life." Seemingly, the mosaic depicts the original YOLO meme. Do what you want, because you're gonna die anyway. While memes have existed in various forms throughout history, identifying the first meme is challenging. However, one of the earliest recognized internet memes is attributed to computer scientist and Carnegie Mellon professor Scott Feldman. In 1982, way before the popularity of the internet, he addressed the difficulty of conveying tone, sarcasm, humor in electronics, and he introduced the smiley emoticon to his academic peers and students, which was that middle sideways smiley, what we now know as an emoticon. And this simple yet innovative suggestion provided a way to signal humor or irony in text-based communication and laid the foundation for modern digital expression. As digital communication evolved, memes have expanded beyond text and symbols. They incorporated videos, GIFs, images, music. And the first digital memes became part of our everyday communication with the start of this emoticon. While Feldman coined the term meme, the term is something that's literally existed forever. Memes are simply described as self-replicating chunks of information reflecting cultural ideas that spread rapidly in digital environments. The term meme in itself predates the internet, and it was coined by evolutionary biologist Richard Dawkins, who funnily enough becomes a meme himself. And in his book, The Selfish Gene, he derived the word meme from the word mimema, which means that which is imitated. Dawkins defined the meme as a unit of cultural transmission or imitation. His early examples of memes included nursery rhymes, jokes, catchphrases, fashions, and the ideology of God. And he used this term to describe ideas, behaviors, or cultural practices that spread within society. And he resembled it to the word gene to highlight how memes, like genes, undergo variation, mutation, and selection, and suggests that memes replicate and evolve over time, very similar to cultural evolution. In contemporary terms, memes are broadly defined as a combination of words, images, videos, and GIFs, and they typically live and lurk in media sites such as Reddit, X, and Instagram. They can transmute away from the digital and into the material world. Memes serve as those visual representations of emotions, thoughts, and ideas, and fundamentally, they permeate public consciousness and reflect and shape cultural discourse. So, what do you meme? With that said, we know memes, they can be humorous, they can be replicable, they can be conventional and conversational. But why do memes deserve further academic study? My study will go ahead and focus on that memes share a common language. They spark social political conversations in the same way of gossip, rumors, and songs, and they help play a role in cementing people's opinions and criticizing power. My research focuses on the Luigimania with a leftist critical analysis and close textual analysis, where we can understand that memes are both humor and critique and rhetorical strategy. While humor fosters cohesion and aids in the creation of counterpublics, these counterpublics, through Luigimania, they serve as modes of resistance by challenging dominant narratives. They reshape online discourse, all through memes. And Luigimania goes beyond morbid curiosity and beyond aesthetics. My analysis, I deduct that Luigi memes depict complex social and political conversations and unearth subtle ways in which users can be political online. Therefore, my research focuses on these 3 points: Memes create socio-political awareness regarding broader issues. Memes contest hegemony and can increase class consciousness. And memes are used as both humor and resistance. This academic inquiry is relying heavily on the methodological practices and themes of Cristina Moreno Almeida's work, Mi Tocaya. In her recent book, The Digital Grotesque, Moreno Almeida's work leans heavily on a Foucauldian lens and establishes that the grotesque and monsters are depicted as reflections of mechanisms of power, where the grotesque is an agent of disobedience and blurs the line and liminal spaces of power dynamics. Furthering on the grotesque has transformed into the digital age, where the grotesque traditionally refers to things that are exaggerated, distorted, and unnatural in a way that provoke discomfort or fascination. These main concepts of the grotesque are very similar to what makes things go viral online. This concept of the digital grotesque gives us a framework to give that close textual analysis and uncover deeper meanings and implications of these Luigimania. In addition, the framework of the digital grotesque gives us, it explores how politics and aesthetics are rapidly made, It expresses how the digital grotesque within memes expresses politics and the aesthetics which are rapidly made of visually unappealing items and artifacts, engage with digital horror to establish normative boundaries and transcend them. So, I use this framework to describe my 3 points. Starting with number 1, memes create social political awareness regarding broader issues. Again, as Moreno Almeida states, these memes spark that distortion and shock and have you interested in that critique of social and cultural norms. Memes make us question life, morality, and society. How can this good-looking guy become a monster? How did those abs happen to go allegedly kill someone? Well, we establish and question those normative boundaries and transcend them with memes. And with that shock factor, those stories that are shared through memes, they often show what often slips through the cracks of traditional media. And instead of just focusing on that act of violence in itself and speaking in that politically correct language, Luigimania opens up that conversation that are often disregarded or considered too radical for hegemonic standards. And it's clearly pictured in this memes. Users are not celebrating the assassination, typically. The memefication of actions create a call and response dynamic that exposes the real thoughts and feelings of people. And in sharing these, it exposes the frustrations with the American healthcare system, with insurance companies. These memes, they find a way of sharing those stories of alienation and dehumanization. And they expose all the ugly that people try to talk about or often are shamed in. As memes are mostly shared online, meme culture offers us participation to connect and the opportunity to share those feelings. And with the ease of communication and shareability with social media, regular people are able to participate in the production and diffusion of news. Moving on to the second point, memes contest hegemony. They increase class consciousness. Memes should be considered cultural artifacts because in looking at memes, we can see them as they shed our light into the aesthetic preferences of particular time periods, but also socio-politically relevant issues. Analyzing memes as creative artifacts position us in a way of broader discourse of cultural production, labor, and resistance. And this digital age allows us for us to interact with those political economy, labor, and cultural hegemony and contesting it. Usually these boundaries, while we are affected by them, it's the politicians that make those decisions for us and everything, right? But by us talking about these things, we're increasing class consciousness and we're placing pressure where we need to. By using conjure publics and openly talking about Luigi, remove that stigma and isolation and defeat that often comes with healthcare issues, with the failing to obtain proper healthcare. And these memes, they highlight also the issues of the American legal system and due process. Normal evidence has been presented to Luigi's lawyer, and serious issues have been posed regarding his questioning and seizure during his arrest. Luigi's Miranda's rights weren't read upon his arrest, and there was a question of evidence tampering with his search and seizure. Not shockingly, Luigi's charges are highly disproportionate and depict a huge flaw in the legal system, because despite no mass school shooter receiving the same penalty, like our boy over in El Paso that did that horrific act, they want to take all these things off the table. But Luigi gets charged with terrorism because under New York law, such a charge can be brought on when alleged crime is intended to intimidate, coerce a civilian population, influence politics or the units of government, or affect the conduct of a unit of government by murder, assassination, or kidnapping. Which begs the question, who is worth performing justice for? All right, so last and not least, my third point, that memes are used as forms of resistance. Simply put, memes bring people together. Luigimania enhances and displays the power of community. The Luigi Mangione Legal Fund has received over $750,000 according to a news outlet, and Newsweek states that Luigi has received over 54 emails, 87 physical letters, and 163 deposits to his account to allow him to purchase commissary items while at his stay, and hopefully very brief stay, at Huntington State Correctional Institute facility. Luigi's letters to him are mostly in support of him and share the poignant experiences of regular people that have been affected by the industry. These acts of community empowerment reflect the power that people have to create the change and meet others' needs. And the Luigi Fund has set an example for other legal funds to help with the cost of legal counsel of those affected by the carceral industry or unfair insurance tactics. But what happens when the material seeps into the material world? What happens when the digital starts seeping into the material world? We would like to believe that in technological optimism, right? The counterpublics can change the world, one meme at a time. We will create utopia with conferences like these, yes! Well, not so fast. The post-digital, as described by Moreno Almeida, reflects on the digital phase where technologies are part of our everyday life, and these computational processes are so embedded in our everyday life that they blur the boundaries between the digital and material worlds. This era does not simply signify that the digital captures just the good things that are going on in life, but it also captures the consequences that may happen with digital revolutions and the disillusionment that happens when it hasn't created that utopian society. Technological practices have become normalized and unquestioned, and artists and activists increasingly engage with these advancements as tools of critique and disruption, creating critical continuation of a digital and material spaces. Therefore, Luigimania takes over the internet, contests hegemony, brings social awareness, but also we need to consider the thoughts of this disruption. In my work, I also want to cover how governments can harm people with social media. Unfortunately, it's no surprise that governments do go ahead, like the United States, have historically worked to censor and dismantle dissent. My research acknowledges the paradox wherein the same digital tools that employ resistance, they can also be used to leverage the state as mechanisms of surveillance and control. As Audre Lorde famously asserts, the master tools will never dismantle the master's house. And highlighting this gives us an idea of the limitations of utilizing these structures in social media to dismantle these systems. The integration of state and corporate interests in digital sphere raises significant concerns regarding privacy and civil liberties, particularly given to the well-documented collaborations between technological companies and government agencies. The idealism of the internet and social media sites do not address how social media is largely dominated by a handful of media conglomerates and basically just two white men in governments with tight control. How do these tools then, can they be used against us? With a broader framework of contemporary governance marked by the consolidation of power among political and economic elites, these governments create an alliance to go ahead and warrant critical surveillance. And the participation of tech giants such as Meta, ChatGPT, and Google in these state functions, such as presidential inaugurations, it kind of highlights that troubling entanglement between corporate and government interests, necessitating deeper inquiry into the implications of democratic freedoms and rights. Ongoing surveillance and censorship is unfortunately ongoing, and it's facilitated by the government passing acts to help make this happen. Because remember, we surveil in order to go ahead and ensure that any threat to national security is mitigated. The political motivated surveillance undermines again those constitutional protections, jeopardizing free speech and the right to dissent. Again, this is not new. This is not new information. Historically, the US has actively worked to squash opposition and dissent. FBI's COINTELPRO program, directed by Edgar Hoover and the FBI and sanctioned by President Nixon, covertly and illegally targeted political activists, including Martin Luther King. This program aimed to expose, disrupt, misdirect, discredit, and neutralize. And through agencies like the Department of Homeland Security and other political agencies, the state keeps perpetuating this suppression under the guise of national security. Regardless of how constitutionally protected freedom of speech is, the enforcement of surveillance laws has proliferated. All of these agencies pictured right here, they allow that steady erosion of privacy as they use our information to go ahead and keep us surveilled. And we tend to think, no, this is just for green card applicants, for people that are crossing the borders. Can we really trust the government to just leave it at that? Often enabled by acts such as the Patriot Act, broadening data collection in the US is the norm, and the government spends over $100 million annually to monitor activity. And that a current FCC lawsuit reveals that the ongoing surveillance, of course, targets the marginalized, such as migrants, and it raises concerns about broader implications. I bring these details to light because through various social media platforms, we play that critical role of the real-time dissemination of information about various issues, including the BLM marches that happened in 2020, the war on Gaza that's currently happening, and the protests for an end to the Palestinian genocide, to name a few. The state has leveraged protesters' social media activity for surveillance and is continual with that without our acknowledgement. According to the National Criminal Justice Association, 1 week after the October 7th attack, the LAPD deployed a heavy presence at the Israeli consulate in Los Angeles following a peaceful protest, and admitted in using social media surveillance. 2 days before the protest, the LAPD received credible intelligence from Data Miner, an ex-affiliate, and an AI-powered social media surveillance company to track Gaza-related demonstrations and other constitutionally protected speech. While it remains unclear that the LAPD acted on these alerts, the response for these widespread protests increases that growing use of digital surveillance to monitor and suppress. With that said, how can we protect ourselves? Many federal agencies use social media, as I said, and the government's monitoring of social media can work to people's detriment, at least in 4 ways. Wrongly implicating an individual of a crime, misrepresenting the meaning of a social media activity, and sometimes with severe consequences, suppressing people's willingness to talk or connect openly, which is censorship, and invading individuals' privacy. Unfortunately, both surveillance and censorship is now an integral part of the social media experience. And while we know that there is this government surveillance that may lead to self-censorship, a lot of us don't. And we don't want to stifle our political speech or creativity and self-expression. Why should we? But we must also speculate how users may speculate on this content. And this ongoing project of mine and researching Luigimania will go ahead and talk more about the suppression by the government and censorship. Think about the TikTok ban, algorithmic censorship, all those goodies. All right, so how can we protect ourselves? Most important, through education. And we must go ahead and realize that this education has to go beyond the silos of academia. This conference, this communication, this education should be for everyone and beyond. Not just in the streets, but in academia, and everyone should know in regards to how the government may try to suppress our freedom of speech. And what we're really trying to say when we share these memes. And most importantly, community. Community is going to be crucial for us to survive through this. We must go ahead and create mutual aid practices to recreate those networks of care and generosity to meet our immediate needs and those of the neighbors. It also addresses that we need to address that the root causes of the challenges that we face and demands need that transformative change. And in these precarious times, we must depend on each other to resist and survive. So, let's incompensate. Why should we talk about memes? What did I just talk about for the past 20 minutes? Well, there's a need for scholarship in digital studies to go ahead and understand the implications of these counterpublics and what these memes really say. It's very important for us to increase our scholarship in digital media to have marginalized voices matter. We cannot keep talking from the top down. We have to elevate those that have been marginalized. Also, many media forms often fade away, but the power of memes has the ability to recreate itself in different forms. It doesn't stay in the media. It stays on t-shirts and earrings that say deny, defend, oppose. It stays into that larger conversations with the media, that the media is actually talking about digital media. So what people are saying on X. And most importantly, memes help revive the past no matter how they try to rewrite this past. It's our stories being told through these memes. And it's no question that history is constantly attempted to be rewritten or hidden based on political agendas in fear of acknowledging our sordid our sordid, violent past without retribution. With attributing memes as part of cultural production, we can create a more equitable future and that not sway away from that social-political critique and change. My work dissects the internet obsession with memes, situating them within a broader cultural context. Further exploration of Luigimania and meme analysis functions as a form of resistance, fostering social-political awareness, and contributing to discourse on digital counterpublics regarding contemporary social issues. Grounded in extensive research and, of course, millennial lived experience, my work not only attempts in advancing this academic inquiry, but also advocates for the sustained socio-political consciousness and revolutionary praxis through community action and education. We could not survive on our own. We must continue to fight together, full of hope, justice, and change, with a revolutionary mindset and with a little bit of humor, both online and in real life. Resist. Thank you. I do have my contact information here if anyone would like to reach out via email or follow my Instagram. I am very political and open, and I do not shut up about what is right. So I'd love to facilitate the time for any questions.
What is deny, depose, what is it?
Oh, my earrings?
Yeah, what is that? Is that from
Yes.
something on the bullet?
Yes. So deny, defend, depose is a tactic which insurance and healthcare providers use in order to go ahead and deny health insurance claims.
Yeah.
And it's pretty much deny.
And then the next.
Take it away.
What is it?
Deny, defund, depose. Depose meaning just pretty much just hide it away. They could pretend it never happened.
Okay.
Because if healthcare providers can make that decision of what kind of care we need and if we really need it, I mean, what's the point of a doctor?
Do you know who originated that phrase?
I do not actually, but I do know that it is within insurance training tactics. That's a good question to go ahead and research a little bit more, especially because that's what Luigi etched in the bullets that he allegedly used.
All 3 words?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Any other questions? Well, thank you so much for the time. I truly appreciate it. It's a small but mighty group. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Great job, Sweden. thank you so much for that presentation. It was wonderful. I just want to thank you again, everyone, for being here, and then remind you that we have our next session at 2 p.m. So right now, downstairs, just one floor down in the auditorium, and then we will also have a presentation at 2:15.